Will the win over the Hokies make a big impact on fan engagement moving forward? What does Vandy football need to do to maintain that momentum?
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. So Vandy's football is getting a lot of national attention and much deserved for now. They need to replace Corday Sidnor and Colby Taylor in the lineup this week. I think Cedric Alexander will quietly become a star at running back. Most importantly, though, and this is going back to the national attention, how do they maintain this positive attention? And does this Vandy win make a big impact on fan engagement? What does Vandy need to do to keep up this momentum? So first we got to answer the question, what do they have going for them? Why is the national attention deserved and positive? What makes them worth watching? How do they maintain that? So what do they have going for them? Well, the first thing that I really think that they have going for them and that makes them worth something to watch is the fact that they're playing with a lot of resiliency. They're playing with a lot of toughness, physicality. They have a relatable identity. When you watch Vandy football now versus last year before last, or whenever, you feel like they have a clear identity, and and it seems like they have a clear purpose too. And what that means is this: when you watch them, you know what they're trying to do. You know what their plan is. You know what they want to accomplish. So that's something that is very, very important, because when you do have that identity as a team, you play better, you play more together, and you're more in sync, and you're more focused, and things start to go right. You start to make big plays. You start to do the things that makes you exciting to watch. So fans can relate to that. Okay. Fans, when they watch a game, when people watch anything, when fans watch football games, baseball games, hockey games, any sporting event, any movie, any TV show, they want to be able to relate as best as they can to what they're watching. Okay. Now I know some of the things are way out there, like the Marvel movies and things like that. And that's a whole different level of relatability. And if this were a movie podcast, we'd probably dive into that. But in the sports world, just having an identity about yourself and having a purpose, I think people can kind of get behind that, because they can, I think having a purpose in your own life is very important. So when you see the team that you support, they go out there with a purpose, they go out there with an identity, you can kind of like fall in behind that. Like the Lions were that gritty, tough, Midwestern Michigan team, hardened team. The fans got behind that. And that was all embodied through the head coach, Dan Campbell. Okay. The Red Sox were the lovable, gritty underdogs when they won their first World Series, when they played the Yankees, right? You had a whole country of baseball fans that got behind them, and that's kind of what made them good. That's kind of what made them relatable. That's why fans loved the Red Sox, right? You got to have an identity. The point is you got to have an identity, whether it's, the Showtime Lakers. They were fun. They were entertaining. They put on a show. It was fun. It was the place to be. That was the identity of the Showtime Lakers. You did not want to miss out on that, because you go to a game, you're going to see a who's who list of celebrities, right? So part of what Vandy's identity is, from a football team standpoint, is they're going to be tough, resilient, just like what people think Nashville should be, okay? What an SEC team should be, okay? And That is something that fans can get behind. Diego Pavia, okay, he brings swagger and fans love that too. That's another thing that's worth watching. Diego Pavia brings a whole nother level of excitement. I think he kind of feeds into the identity. I think he kind of makes up the identity. Nashville has a lot of swagger as a city, being one of the fastest growing cities in America, one of the most popular tourist destinations right now in America, the bachelorette capital of America, all of that. Okay, that's swagger. That's swag. Okay, Diego Pavia brings that to this team. Okay, and the fans absolutely love that, and they can get behind it. So when he put the team on his back, okay, and let's be honest, he did, and the team responded. Everybody jumped on board, and he led them into victory. Where normally Vandy, there's several situations in that second half where last year's Vandy team would have folded like a freaking tent and gone home, and we would have been talking. I would have been on here talking about, we're licking the wounds from a 30-point blowout. Virginia Tech and Kyron Jones were just too much, and I would be talking about that stuff, okay, and talking about how, okay, well, the rest of the season is going to be, Big Blue Nation. It's going to be Bama fans. It's going to be Tennessee fans. It's going to be Texas fans flooding this place. So I think fan engagement's going to increase because of the swagger that Pavia is bringing to this team. That's going to be part of the identity, okay? The grittiness, the resiliency, and the swagger. That's the last piece of it. And I think Pavia is going to bring that to the table because Vandy people in the city of Nashville, you're competing with so much other stuff. You've got to have something. You've got to have a draw. The Sounds have promotions. They're minor league baseball. It's just a fun atmosphere. The Titans, NFL speaks for itself. But Vandy has to find that niche. And Diego Pavia is a gold mine in a lot of ways, and he brings that swagger to this team. And that's kind of why Vandy fans, I think, are attracted to that. They want to see that. He is what Johnny Manziel did for Texas A&M. Texas A&M already has crazy rat. They didn't need help filling the stadium, but if they did, Johnny Manziel would have brought that to the table. I'm not saying Pavia is going to beat Alabama right now. I mean, if he does, that would be legendary. But he's going to have that effect as far as fans go. I think people want to watch that. I think people want to be a part of that electricity, and I think that when you have that and you have that excitement, that's all you need to. Once you get fans starting to pack into the seats, now you look up and it's a true home game. Think about the jolt. Think about the energy that brings to the team now. You already have enough swag, and you had 80% of the stadium in maroon and orange, Virginia Tech fans. And Pavia was that. Pavia brought that energy, right? Think about it if it's all Vandy fans. Think about if everybody in Nashville locally wanted to come see Pavia, come see this team, come see this defense fly around and make plays. This team has edge. Well, I was talking about on SEC After Dark. Me and Stephen Willis, we were talking about it. Steve brought it up, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. This defense has some edge. People love that. That's exciting. All right. Pavia has edge, has swagger. People enjoy that. You have a nice, almost fully done, fully renovated facility. You have half of it done, which it's nice. People like that. People are attracted to that. Okay. You're already in a city that's growing, that has a lot of tourists. People are going to want to come to this game, and you're going to create an atmosphere through Diego with the spark of Diego Pavia. But once it gets rolling, it's going to get rolling. You're going to have an atmosphere that is actually, for once, pro Vandy. And I think that's going to benefit the team just as much as any of these other changes, because when you shift the culture, people start to believe in that. And that's when you look at it and say, oh, they're onto something, right? Because this wasn't a fluke win. This honestly was not a fluke win. And when you look at it and you break it down, what all had to happen for this win makes it to where, okay, this talk of culture shift, this talk of like, hey, we have some big goals, before this Virginia Tech game, it was all ridiculous. I was laughed out of the building a lot of times. People didn't take me seriously when I said they were going to be this, they were going to be that. Diego Pavia was going to be this. Jerry Kill was going to be that. Coach Steiner was going to be this. Clark Lee calling the defense was going to be that. All this rash of all these influx of transfers are going to be this and that. People didn't believe me. Well, right now they are this and that, and this and that, and that and this. Everything that I've said so far, right? The only exception, we'll talk about it later, is Colby Taylor. There's some issues going on there. You can't bat 1,000, unfortunately. I wish you could, but you can't. All right. So the fact of the matter is, this team has identity. This team has swagger. This team is got something about them that I think has some attractive qualities to where people will want to come and see this and support this and say, hey, maybe this Vandy team is for real. Maybe I'm going to give them a chance. NIL's right there in their back pocket. You're going to hopefully see an increase in that. And once you see an increase in that, your roster will get better. Recruits are starting to take notice. Go if you read the reactions. Justin Hopkins out of Innsworth, he's an impressive defensive back. I think he's growing by the minute. That kid, I was at Innsworth last year. He was a sophomore. That kid has potential out the freaking wazoo, man. I love that kid. He's going to be a special dude. I hope Vandy can lock him down. He'll be the next Jawan. He'll be the next Jawan for you guys, Jawan Williams, and he'll be a special guy if he stays in town. He's going to have his pick of places, but I mean, this is going to be a special situation, man. There's a reason why these guys stayed, like CJ Taylor, who wanted to go, and I would have not have blamed him, but he believes, and so this thing's only going to get better, and you're going to see again. It's just all going to be a big snowball, and Vandy's got to keep momentum. So how do they keep momentum? They keep winning. They keep scoring. They increase their explosives. And the next reason, I think this next person I'm going to talk about, the running game, Cedric Alexander, is going to be a big part of this whole identity and culture shift. I think he's going to be a star. I'll tell you why next. All right, this episode is presented by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV-based plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. So just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. There's a lot of good games, especially noon Eastern kicks. So a lot of things you can do to bet on live odds. So check it out. America's number one sportsbook is FanDuel.com. So you should visit it, and you should have lots of fun. All right. Well, this is so exciting, man. I'm so glad college football's back, man. We're blazing into week 2. We got a lot of great games, a lot of great SEC matchups. Texas, Michigan is going to be a good one. But it's not too late to catch up on these before the season really, really gets going, because by the time it's going now, but it's going to move fast. So better jump on board now. SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12. You can get it all from Locked On stable of college experts by subscribing to the Locked On College Football podcast, right? Who has a chance to make the playoff? Are there teams that, we're not in it, are in it now? Who's going to cause chaos? All of that. Everything you need to know is all in one place. So be sure to follow and subscribe to the Locked On College Football podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So speaking of you everydayers, thank you for being my everydayers. You guys had my back in the comments this weekend and earlier this week, man. Just fending off all these Virginia Tech people that have talked all that smack last week. I was delusional fan of the week. That's special. That is special. That let me know right there that Virginia Tech fans were legitimately worried about Vandy. They were actually hearing my words and saying, "Oh God, we're nervous. We're a little nervous." And they played like it. Vandy, they didn't play nervous. Vandy was like, "Yeah, we're Vandy. We were 2-10 last year. What are we going to lose? We're going to come after you. And Diego Pavia is like, yeah, we're 2-10. What is that like? I don't know what it's like to lose. I was 10-2, right? At New Mexico State. He doesn't. I love the swagger that he has. So, but part of this resurgence, I can't talk about Diego Pavia and his impact enough. But I also would be remiss if I left out Cedric Alexander, because he's a special dude, man. He's a special dude. If you watch him, he's kind of a do-it-all type guy. He's somebody that really good vision in the run game, very talented running back, catches the ball out of the backfield, finishes runs. His first touchdown, he plowed through the A gap, pushed the pile into the end zone. I mean, he's just running like a man possessed, man. He's physical, he's fast, explosive. He's athletic, man. He can hurdle defenders. Seems to make a habit of doing that, once a week. And he's really good in pass pro too. Like, he's a good all-around back. He's a good 3-down back, even though, all that punishment, you can't have a bell cow anymore with as big and fast and physical and athletic as defenders are. You really can't have a bell cow, but man, he's a special guy, and he's somebody that, as Vandy continues to, they're going to need to develop their pass game. Obviously, I talked about that on yesterday's episode. Vertical passing is going to be the way that they're going to create running lanes for not only Alexander, but the quarterbacks. But Alexander, man, like, he's somebody that defenses are forced to come down into the box to defend, right? You're going to see teams that have to kind of get out of their identity a little bit, get out of their game plan, and really try to focus on stopping him, because he's somebody that can make it happen. He can take a tight crease and make a big gain out of it. He will, if you blitz, he will hit you. He will saw you in half. He did that already. And he will protect the quarterback. He will catch the ball out of the backfield. He's really good on the triple option stuff where you have the bubble out there and the different ways they get to triple option. He's really good at doing some of those things and getting out on the perimeter and really just making things happen, man. He's electric. He adds to the swagger. He adds to the excitement, because, when you see a running back finish runs, drive into the end zone, hurdle defenders, right? I talk about excitement. This ties back again to my first point in the first segment. What brings fans to the stadium? Swagger brings fans to the stadium. You have a quarterback like Diego Pavia, which A&M had that guy. His name was Johnny Manziel. Swagger, playmaker, gamer, right? They had that. Cedric Alexander, they had a really good running back that year. Cedric Alexander is a guy that's electric. He's going to be one of the top backs in the SEC. He's going to perform. And people like seeing physical, fast, exciting runs. People like seeing touchdowns. People like seeing good offensive play. And he will certainly contribute to that. He's exciting. So, again, he's the glue that's going to hold this running game together. I mean, just look at what he can do. He's so patient. Okay. There's a couple of runs that were set up that this let me know that he's for real. This let me know that he is a guy that you can rely on, because there was a couple of runs. I think one of them, I forget the down and distance exactly. One was on like 3rd and medium, and the other one I think was a first down run. But they were zone runs, and they were runs where there wasn't much there, running lane wise. There wasn't much there. It was kind of a little slot. It was kind of a little, just kind of like a pile, kind of a scrum right there in front of them. And what I really like to see out of running backs, okay, and when I was coaching, this is what I wanted to see. I was a zone guy, wide zone, inside zone type guy, more so out of necessity, because that's what our guys could do better than they could down blocking and pulling for some reason. But you've got to have a patient runner. You've got to have a guy he's not, I mean, if you're too patient, you're going to hit in the backfield. But I think he understands, like, all right, I'm going to push, I'm going to press my landmark, and then I'm going to make a cut. I'm going to be slippery. I'm going to get small, and I'm going to squeeze through tight tight windows there. He's a guy on both of those runs in particular. Okay. And it's easy to run when there's a giant hole that's opened. It's easy to run in those situations. But to get yardage, to get 5-6 yards on carries like I'm about to describe, shows me more as a back than some of the longer runs that are set up that are blocked perfectly, right? Because as a running back, like for every 15 to 20 yard successful run you have as a result of like the 10 other guys executing, which is a team sport. That's okay. I'm not downgrading that by any stretch, but like you have to, as a running back, also at times earn your scholarship. Okay. Because there's going to be times where the defense just kind of clogs things up. And the offensive line is not always going to block things perfectly. And I know people love to bag on the offensive line. Oh, this offensive line block. Come on, offensive line, block, 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 block. You know, people love to yell at the offensive line, but it's not always their fault. Defenses, they do things to disrupt, block, they do things. And it disrupts and it clogs things up. So a running back at times is going to have to earn his scholarship by making somebody miss in the backfield and gaining 5 yards. Being patient and hitting a backside A gap when everything flows across your face, right? Things like that, like the vision that he has to be able to, at the last second, creep through a backside B gap crease that's about that wide. That's talent. Picking up a blitz, staring down the barrel of a linebacker running a 4.5 at you at 250 pounds, ready to rip Diego Pavia's head off. That takes some courage. And he showed plenty of that. So he's going to be a star. That's the point. He's going to be a star because he can make the obvious plays, but he can make plays that keep you on schedule. That's the stuff that doesn't, like when you're looking at stars, when you're looking at, oh, this guy's going to be special. That's the thing you don't really think about. Because what makes an offense go is staying on schedule. If you on first down, if you can get 5 yards, that's a great play. Very well executed play. If you can get 4 to 5 to 6 yards, you're in business. If you get anything over 6, you're really in business. You're ahead of the schedule. Anything behind, you're behind schedule, which, I mean, that's going to happen. It's football. But make more plays, make more of the on schedule and ahead of schedule plays than you do of the behind schedule plays, and you're going to be special. You have to be able to pick up your offensive line when your offensive line can't pick you up on a certain play. You have to be able to do that. I think Cedric Alexander can do that, not only in the run game, but in the pass game as well. So he's going to be a special dude. So Saturday, couple key guys out. Who fills in? Corday Sidnor, Colby Taylor, 2 important absences. Who fills in? And then we'll wrap up the show here next. LinkedIn. When you're hiring for small businesses, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open for the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Let me read that again, because I don't know if you heard me the first time. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. That's amazing. So you got to hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. So LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. That's why 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All righty, we wrapping up here at the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. Make sure you make Locked On SEC your next listen Especially the SEC squad show. That thing is that's interesting. It's a fun show. We put the fun on that show. So you should, I was on there for the first segment. I'll be on there every once in a while. You should check it out, man. It's all the SEC hosts together and the hilarity that ensues. So you should check that one out for sure. So, swagger, man. Swagger's important. We've talked about swagger. We talked about resiliency. We talked about physicality. We talked about how Diego Pavia, Cedric Alexander are two agents of swagger and excitement that are going to help get Vandy fans back in the seats. But it's not just them two. I think the defense is going to have a lot to do with it as well. People love seeing really good, fast, physical defense that has edge. People love seeing that. That's part of the whole swagger, edge, swagger, kind of along those lines. I think people love seeing that. So, but two key pieces are out in this game: Corday Sidnor and Colby Taylor. We'll start with Corday Sidnor. He got banged up a little bit in the run of the game. He's going to be out and probably should be, right? Probably should be because just get him ready for Missouri, really. Get him ready for that. But he's not going to be available unless absolutely need, and they shouldn't absolutely need it. We'll have a totally different conversation if they do. So he's week to week. Probably realistically, Sidnor will be ready full go by the time they take the road to Missouri. Best case scenario, obviously next week. But with Georgia State, I don't think that'll happen either. So what you're going to see is Linus Zunk and Zaylen Wood get more of a run out there. They were both up for Player of the Week. They played extremely well, both getting after it. I really like what Linus Zunk did. The edge that he brought, the toughness. He was a dude. He was disruptive in there. He was disruptive, and he's somebody that can get after the passer. He's somebody that he's real sudden. He can get on you real quick, and he got with Kyron Drones being as mobile as he is, as the ability to run, scramble, all that stuff. Zunk was on him several times. There was a play right before halftime where Zunk, I swear it was like the Paris Olympics. It was the 100-meter dash, and he just jetted out of there. He was in Drones' face immediately, slung him down, got a penalty, obviously. And it's a toss-up where he may have barely earned it. Barely. I don't know. That's a stretch. But nonetheless, just the edge that he plays with, man, that's something that, for defenses, that's what you need. Offenses need a little bit of swagger, a little bit of confidence, a little bit of juice. Hey, we're excited. Hey, I just threw a long pass to you. Hey, let's get excited. Defense is defense just, it's like that person is just in a bad mood all the time, right? And the only thing that cheers them up is throwing you to the ground and knocking you down, right? That's what good defenses are. They're just cranky, right? Grouchy. Come off the ball and just hit you and just be mad about it. That's the kind of defense I like. That's gritty. That's tough. That's and then when they do cheer up, it's hey, I just knocked the hell out of you, and they get excited, and then they just go back to being grumpy again, and do it all over again. It's a defense that gets after you. They swarm, they're fast, they hit you. It's just a lot of that, and I really like what this defense and this defensive front was doing all game long. Sunday or Saturday, not Sunday. It's not the NFL. I like what they were doing Saturday all day long. Linebackers were downhill. The defensive line was slanting, moving, shooting gaps, penetrating, all that stuff, just getting flat after you. So that was great. Who's going to replace Colby Taylor? Well, Colby Taylor's going through some stuff. It's an internal matter, which when they're vague about it, that's usually not a good thing. But Jalen Lackey's going to be ready to play, and he'll play regardless of whether Taylor was going to play because it's Alcorn State. But Trudell Berry is going to be Martell Height, obviously Taco Wright. So you're going to have some of these corners. We're going to we're going to reach deep into the bag of corners. Seems like the cornerbacks are dropping like flies. Unfortunately, this is not a great thing. But those guys are going to be ready, and you're going to see them kind of take part and get some really good game action as well. So, but this defense, man, like they're doing their part too. They really are. So fans, if you're listening to this, like I want to know, like, I'll leave you with this guided question, and I want to see some feedback on this. I'd laid out some of my ideas of what I think will bring you guys to the stadium. What is it that will bring you to the stadium? What is it specifically about this team that you seem interested about? Because it's always been a wait and see type thing. Well, we waited and we saw. Now, what's it going to take to get you there and keep you there? Leave that in the comments. I'll see you back here tomorrow. We'll wrap up the week. We'll make some picks, and we'll get you into the weekend for this matchup against Alcorn State. And we'll until then, we'll see you around. Behave yourselves, and of course, anchor down. Peace out.